Neiman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, today's newsmakers, and you. The Morning Majority, 630. WMAL.
7:37 on the Morning Majority. Wilson, Ham, Neiman all here. Jake Tapper, ABC News senior White House correspondent, joins us. Always fun when it's a late night and an early morning. Hey, Jake.
Hey, how are you?
We're hanging in there. We've been at this for months, as you well know. It's heated up in the last few days, fell apart apparently last weekend. Now, the president gave a speech last night. John Boehner gave a follow-up rebuttal. Where do things stand as of 7:37 on Tuesday morning?
Unfortunately, I wish I had something to tell you other than this, that both sides are proceeding down the path that they think is right, and it does not look like the House bill can pass the Senate. It does not look as though the Senate bill can pass the House. There's actually questions about whether either of those bills can pass their own bodies.
That's right.
And right now, everyone's hoping for the other side to blink. White House officials are hoping that Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader, can talk to House Speaker John Boehner and try to get him to work on a bill, either a modified version of the bill being offered by the Democratic leader of the Senate, Harry Reid, or some sort of hybrid, but some bill that can not only pass the House but can pass the Senate.
Right.
But that's about it. I wish I had some sort of breakthrough to tell you about. But right now things seem pretty firmly, both sides seem firmly entrenched.
All right, but yesterday the White House said that the president would support Harry Reid's plan to cut spending without any new taxes. But then last night in his speech, the president was pushing the grand bargain with new revenues. So does the White House still think that the grand bargain is possible this late in the game?
I don't think so. I mean, I think they think it's on the table and anything could happen. But the grand bargain is what he wants to do. Of the choice between the Reid bill versus the Boehner bill, the president, said that he will sign the Reid bill. He will not sign the Boehner bill. But he did say, when talking about Reid, he did say that was just the beginning. We would need to do a lot more about the deficit.
What was, Jake, the sort of thinking, the strategy behind doing the primetime speech last night? A couple people have noted, and it seemed to me that it seemed a little behind the news cycle in that Reid had stopped talking about tax increases, but Obama was still talking about them, and he didn't sort of break any new news at the event, which is sort of odd to take primetime coverage for.
I asked that, and the Democratic official told me that the idea is that a lot of the people who saw the speech last night have not been paying attention to this the way that you and I have, and the listeners of the show probably have. That 80% of the people who saw the speech last night probably had only seen the president speak on this in a 10-second clip, and did not really know much about what was going on. And with this deadline approaching, it was important for the president to explain what was going on, just in case we hit the deadline next week and miss it.
All right, Jake, so here's the bottom line. Whatever emerges from Capitol Hill has to be something that can get 217 or maybe 218 votes in the House, 60 votes in the Senate. And I'm like you. I don't see a scenario as it stands at this hour where that's going to be possible. So how do they ultimately come up with a solution?
I mean, either the Senate is going to have to pass the House bill, the House is going to have to pass the Senate bill, and the president's going to have to sign it. I mean, there really isn't much that can be done at this point. If McConnell and Boehner can figure something out that can get through both bodies, that the president will sign, meaning it extends the deadline past Election Day 2012, then I think that would at least temporarily relieve this crisis. And I suspect that's really the only route I see. But currently,
that's not an easy thing.
No, and Boehner is already bleeding some of his conservatives. They're already saying they're not going to vote for the Boehner bill. They think he's already given up too much. So, and it's something like that he would need Democratic support in the House to pass it. The way that this negotiation, I have to say, it's just, this whole story, I don't know how you guys feel, I'd be interested to hear, has just been really disappointing. I can't believe that we are 6 days away from the deadline when the U.S. can no longer borrow money anymore.
Have you ever seen a time, Jake, in your time as a reporter in this town, where the two sides were more deeply entrenched?
No.
I can't either. I can't think of a single other story where the sides have been so deeply entrenched and unwilling to cross into compromise.
I thought, Jake, when Boehner came out and he was surrounded by the leadership, Eric Cantor was there, McCarthy was there, and there were other people there who are more of the hardliner than Boehner was trying to make a deal. And when they all came up and actually said that they supported this new, what I call cap, cut, and balance light, or try to get a more palatable version that could pass in the Senate, that they all supported it, said it wasn't the best bill, but it was something they could get behind, that meant that there were enough votes in the House to pass Boehner's bill. So it sounds like to me that that's not the case from what you're reporting this morning, that there may not be enough.
Jim Jordan, who was on our air yesterday, is still standing his ground on the original bill.
My understanding from John Carl, who's our congressional correspondent, is that they think they have enough votes to pass it, but it will be a heavy lift. And certainly individuals like Congressman Jordan from the Republican Study Committee and others are peeling away. I have to say, though, I mean, the bill that Harry Reid offered, no new taxes, all spending cuts. If somebody had said a month ago, Harry Reid is going to offer a bill that's no new taxes, all spending cuts, I would have been very, very surprised. I mean, as Mary Catherine pointed out, President Obama last night was talking about a bill with no tax increases not being a fair one. And here you have the Senate Democratic leader introducing that. I mean, in a way, I think it's fair to say that with the introduction of that bill, Democrats have already blinked. And there is a path out of this if Republicans accept that as some sort of victory.
Yeah.
The argument can very easily be made. There's no new taxes in that. It cuts spending by more than $1 trillion. 2.7 if you include the costs of the war and the lack of interest payments, and it extends the debt ceiling. I mean, that is a victory for Republicans.
Yeah.
It's just how we are defining these victories these days keeps changing.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a big deal that Harry Reid offered that. That's what I thought yesterday, and that they seem to be coming closer together. Is there anything on the White House docket as far as meeting with folks? Is he part of this process at all today or moving forward in the week?
My understanding is that the White House is really hoping that Mitch McConnell gets involved and talks to Boehner and convinces him that this Reid bill or some sort of hybrid version of the Reid bill with the Boehner bill is a victory for the Republicans. And as Speaker Boehner said at some time in the last few days, I forget when it was, the fact is the Republican freshmen have changed the conversation in Washington. They have succeeded. People are now talking about how much to cut, not whether to cut. And as you said, Mary Catherine, I mean, Harry Reid offering a bill with no revenue, that's a pretty big deal.
It is a big deal. Well, Jake Tapper, thank you very much for joining. Jake Tapper with ABC News, White House correspondent. Good to have you with us on the Morning Majority.
Thanks, guys.